So this is going to be a quick run through of how to make a COVID-19 scrubs bag for when you come home from work, and your clothes can go directly into the bag and then they can go directly into the wash, bag and all. Here is a quick pattern or a set of instructions that I made for myself. So they're not fantastic and there are much better videos out there, but this shows you how to make the casing so that already the drawstring is inside and you don't have to thread it through later. So I have cut my piece. It's the width of the fabric, so it's a 42 inch, and I've cut it 23 inches. Now the interesting thing on this is I'm going to cut off these selvage edges, and you can actually use those if you want to for the drawstring if you don't have something for the drawstring. Okay, I have my ruler lined up and I am going to cut off just above the little dotted lines, the holes on the selvage edge. And then I'm going to trim these to about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, leaving the selvage edge for sure. Okay, there we go. I've cut my pieces. They're about 3/4 inch, and I've made sure that I am leaving the selvage edge on both of those, and then this extra piece I can just throw away. Take your fabric to the ironing board, then lay out the long side, and you will be turning under 1/4 inch of the very top of the long side. So I'm just going to eyeball this. You can see it very pressed a little bit. And I'm going to do this the whole entire length of the top. Okay, now I am going to fold this an additional 3/4 inch, an inch, however big you're kind of thinking would be nice for your casing. And then I'm just going to press as I go. So I eyeball this again. You can do it perfectly if you'd like, but it works out just fine this way. So turn, 3/4 inch, press. Okay, then this little part right here, clip just at the bottom. So on your other side, you know where that ends. Just a little, 1/4 inch clip in. Same thing on the other side. Go. And take it to the machine. At the machine, you're going to open up the casing, and then this little clip line is the part where you're going to fold. And this is going to give a tiny little hem for this casing, so it's going to look pretty. So now you're just going to sew that. Again, you could press it if you want, but it works out just fine if you don't. Okay, here's the best part of this whole thing. This is your casing ready to go. And what you're going to do is place whatever you're deciding for your drawstring will go inside, and you'll pin it now. So I'm going to use actually this long black shoelace. You could, as I said, use your selvage edges, and you would just sew them together right there. And then they are actually going to be exactly the right length because that's what you cut them off from. So they will go halfway, and be perfect. You could use ribbon, you could use a drawstring from an old hoodie, whatever. There's a lot of materials you could use. So let's get this started. We're going to place this inside, and then I'm just going to pin this shut so that I pin up here on the drawstring, and then I will sew here on the edge of the casing. Okay, here we go. Everything is pinned. We have our shoelace sticking out, and I'm pinning the shoelace underneath, and then I've got it tucked. I'm going to take it to the machine now, and I'm going to sew all the way along this casing, all the way to the end. And they'll be so great. I'm just sewing right on this edge, and notice the pins can stay in this whole entire time, and I'm not going to have to worry about taking them out. So just stay on the edge, and all the way down you go. Once you've sewn all the way, there it is, enclosed already. Take out your pins except leave in both ends. Fold over so it looks like your original cut piece, and then the French seam you are going to do along this edge, all the way down and over and across all the way here. So go ahead and pin up here, make sure that stays out of the way. You're going to sew about 1/8 of an inch, just tiny. And start sewing here, not on your casing part. Right there where you started your clip once you line that up perfectly. Ta-da! And sew the edge with, yes, the right sides out. And there are plenty of really good French seam sewing videos, so just go ahead and check that out. Trim little parts that didn't quite end up 1/8 of an inch, and make those 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now you've turned your bag inside out and pressed this seam down. Now you're going to sew a seam where I have already done one. So here, start right at the edge of your casing, do a little back stitch, and you're going to sew all the way around. This seam should be 1/4 of an inch or just bigger than that, 5/8, whatever you're comfortable with. The idea is to enclose the little seam that you have there. So when you look at this seam, you don't see anything sticking out. And if you don't do it quite big enough, then you're going to see little parts like I have there, which is fine. That string I can take out. So you're going to sew like I have all the way around. Don't clip this corner off. Turn, turn, and sew all the way to the end. Then turn your bag inside out and you are finished. Okay, here's the part where you do a little cheer for yourself. Oh my goodness, look at that super great bag. So now inside you can see that you have a nice enclosed seam with no raw edges. That's why we do the French seam. And I've tied my ends together for my shoelace, and that will prevent them from slipping out during the wash. Alternately, or in addition to, you could just make a little seam right here and catch the shoelace inside. And now you can come home, take your scrubs off, wear your work clothes, and into the bag. Then bag and clothes all go into the wash, and you don't have to bring your potentially infected clothes into your home. Hooray!